On a map, there's a country that runs like one long, hurling stroke of a pen down the edge of a continent, stretching roughly 1,650 kilometers from a mountainous northern border to a warm southern gulf, yet narrowing near its center under 50 kilometers. From the eastern coast to the Laos border. For generations, people have called it the S-shaped country. Most have never seen why until they've stood inside it. It runs from limestone peaks lost in cloud to a coastline warmed by the South China Sea, where rice terraces climb hillsides like green staircases, where motorbikes move through cities, the way blood moves through a heart, constant, unbothered, alive. This is Vietnam. Karst towers rising out of still water with no warning. A road cut into a cliff face by hand, one hammer strike at a time. A war that ended 2 generations ago. Still, written into the walls. A cable car, climbing higher than any other on Earth. There's a moment this trip tends to produce, and it rarely shows up where you'd expect it. Not at the karsts. Not in the caves. Not on the coast. It's the second you stop fighting the pace of the place and let it set yours instead. After that, you're not just seeing Vietnam anymore. You're finding out how much of your own rhythm you'd been carrying out of habit, not choice. Over the next stretch, we're tracing this whole S-curve of the country, top to bottom, starting in Hanoi's Old Quarter, and not stopping until the last ferry pulls away from Phu Quoc. Rice terraces. A pass carved straight into the cliffside. Caves big enough to lose a skyscraper in. A coastline that finally lets you exhale. All of it in order, exactly as the road lays it out. Like and subscribe if you believe travel isn't just about seeing a place, but discovering what it reveals in you. And hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. The full route and a few tours worth booking ahead are already in the description. Take what helps. We begin our journey from Hanoi. The road through Vietnam almost always opens the same way. In Hanoi, the capital city, that's carried the title, lost it, and taken it back again. More than once across 1,000 years. The Old Quarter doesn't ease you in. 36 streets, each one still named for the guild that once worked it. Silk Street, Silver Street, Paper Street. Layered with 1,000 years of trade. That never really stopped, just changed products. Motorbikes outnumber people here. Or at least it feels that way. Crossing the street isn't a decision. It's a negotiation, slow, steady, trusting that the traffic will part around you, the way water parts around a stone. At the heart of it all sits Hoan Kiem Lake, the Lake of the Returned Sword. Legend says a 15th century emperor was handed a magic blade by a golden turtle to defeat foreign invaders, then returned it to the same turtle once peace was won. Locals still tell it exactly like that. Not as myth, as history. A short ride north on its own small island in Westlake, Trang Quoc Pagoda has stood for close to 1,500 years. The oldest place of worship the city has, and one of the few corners of Hanoi that time seems to have simply agreed to leave alone. A few streets over, a train still runs directly through a residential lane, close enough that if you stretched out an arm from a cafe table, you could touch the carriage. Train Street shouldn't work as a place people live. It does anyway. None of it got planned as a set. French colonial rooftops, sitting above Vietnamese shop fronts. Incense drifts from a temple courtyard into a street selling egg coffee. A communist-era slogan hangs a few doors down from the neon sign of a rooftop bar. 1,000 years of additions, and nobody ever cleared the earlier ones away. There's no easing into this city. It's loud from the first step off the plane, and it stays that way. And somewhere in that first hour, without deciding to, you stop bracing against the noise and start moving with it instead. That's the first lesson this trip is quietly going to keep repeating. Before the road turns south, there's a detour worth an extra day. East, out of Hanoi, toward the coast. Locals call it the bay where a dragon lay down. A mother dragon sent to guard the coast is said to have spat jewels into the sea to keep her children safe. And each jewel became one of the nearly 1,600 limestone islands still standing here. You don't have to believe it. Out on the water, surrounded by stone pillars, taller than anything a photo ever warned you about, you start believing anyway. The engine cuts. No wake, no hum, just gray-green water and silence thick enough to feel like weather. And you go quiet without meaning to. Wake up on board at first light, and the fog hasn't lifted yet. The islands sit half-hidden, drifting in and out like the bay. Hasn't decided yet how much of itself to show you. Somehow, it never once makes the view feel smaller. From the bay, a direct coastal expressway cuts south past Haiphong, and the land changes again, almost immediately. Limestone karsts break straight up out of the flooded rice paddies. No foothills, no buildup. Like the ground simply changed its mind, partway through being flat. In Tam Quoc, a rower, often steering with her feet, the oar tucked under one leg, guides a small flat boat. through 3 low limestone caves. The paddies opening and closing around you like a held breath. Trang An does the same thing, at a larger scale. And locals still call it Ha Long Bay on land. The same drowned karst geology as the famous bay to the northeast. Except here the towers rise out of rivers and rice fields instead of the sea. Above it all, Hang Mua, the cave of dancing, asks you to climb roughly 500 stone steps to a dragon-shaped viewpoint. The climb is unglamorous, sweaty, steep, no shortcuts. The view at the top doesn't care. It shows you the entire valley at once. River bending through karst, paddies laid out like a green quilt someone forgot to fold. Tam Coc and Trang An are close enough to combine in a single day. But rowers here work on tide and river flow, not a fixed schedule. A pre-booked boat and driver from Hanoi saves you the guesswork. One well-reviewed option is in the description. Ninh Binh doesn't ask for the same alertness Hanoi does. It asks for patience, the kind that only shows up once you've sat still in a low boat long enough to stop being able to tell the karst towers from their own reflection. Most people don't come here expecting patience to feel like an accomplishment. It does, anyway. Would you rather row through Tam Coc's low caves at water level or climb Hang Mua's 500 steps for the view from above? Tell us which one you'd pick in the comments. From Ninh Binh, the road climbs. Vietnam sheds its lowland skin and starts becoming something closer to the Himalayas' quieter cousin. Sapa sits inside the clouds more often than not. Rice terraces cut into the Muong Hua Valley in steps that took generations to carve. Flooded silver in planting season. Gold before harvest. Depends only on when you arrive. Hmong and Dao villages sit along the valley floor, reachable on foot through Cat Cat Village, or by trekking deeper toward Tavan and Lao Chai. Highland market days follow their own weekly rhythm, rather than a tourist's calendar. So it's worth checking before you plan a day around one. Above the valley, Fancy Pan earns Sapa its nickname, the Roof of Indochina, the highest point in the region, hiding in cloud more days than not. What once cost trekkers 1 or 2 days on foot, a cable car now covers in less time than a lunch break. Neither way up is the wrong one. The trek earns the summit through your legs. The cable car hands it to you through a window. What you actually take from the climb has less to do with the mountain than with which kind of arrival you trust more. The one you sweat for, or the one you're simply given. The route funnels through Hanoi once more, then breaks north into a province that feels less like it was built and more like it was folded, creased under pressure by something far larger than the people who live in it. The Giang Loop threads through a plateau of jagged gray peaks, with almost no soil between the rock. Farmers here still grow corn in pockets of earth, poured by hand into cracks in the stone. Because there's no other way to plant anything up here. Then comes Ma Pi Leng, the pass locals call the King, a hairpin road cut into a sheer cliff above the Ngoc River, built by hand in the 1960s, with nothing but tools, ropes, and the people willing to hang off the cliff face until it was finished. Riding it by motorbike is the classic way to do the loop. But the road doesn't forgive inattention. Most first-time riders pair up with a local guide rather than take it on solo. A guided Hajiang loop, 2 to 3 days with a driver or a lead rider, including homestays, is worth booking ahead rather than improvising once you're already on the plateau. A trusted operators are linked in the description. Most people come back from Hajiang talking about the drop, the switchbacks, the view from Ma Pi Leng's edge. Fewer mention the smaller thing that actually stays with them. The moment your hands finally stop gripping so hard, and you realize the road was never asking you to be fearless, just present. If you're the kind of traveler who'd trade a beach resort for a hand-cut mountain road at 3,000 meters, you're exactly who this channel is built for. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss where this route goes next. There's a lot more of Vietnam ahead. East from Hajiang, the plateau gives way to Cao Bang. Quieter, greener, less traveled than almost anywhere else on this route. Ban Gioc Waterfall is the destination here, and it earns the drive. The largest natural waterfall in Southeast Asia, and one of only a handful on Earth that straddle an international border. Half of what you're looking at is technically China. The water doesn't know the difference. And standing in the spray, for a few minutes, neither do you. Bamboo rafts drift close enough to the base to feel it on your skin. Close enough that, depending on the season, you can paddle within touching distance of a line that only exists on a map. Cao Bang is 4 or 5 extra hours north of Hajiang. And most people traveling this route decide it isn't worth the detour. The ones who make it anyway tend to come back saying the same thing. Some of the best parts of a trip are the ones you almost talked yourself out of. Would you rather stand in the spray at a waterfall, split across 2 countries, or beneath the cliffs of Ma Pi Leng, with the Ngoc River below? Comment your pick below. From the plateau, the route drops south toward the coast, and Vietnam changes register completely, from mountain to underground. Somewhere beneath this park sits Son Dung, the largest cave passage ever measured on Earth. Big enough in places to fit a 40-story skyscraper inside it, with its own weather forming under the stone. You don't need Son Dung's multi-day expedition to feel that scale. Paradise Cave gets you close enough in a single afternoon. Walkways winding past stalactites that took hundreds of thousands of years. to grow one mineral drop at a time. Phong Na Cave itself is reached by boat, gliding beneath a ceiling that swallows the sound of the engine before it swallows the light. It sits along the country's longest underground river, and partway in, the boat stops. So you can step out onto a sandbank and keep going on foot, deeper into chambers the water never quite reaches. There's a specific kind of quiet that only exists this far underground. No wind, no birds, nothing alive making noise on purpose. Most people expect that silence to feel empty. It rarely does. It tends to feel like the first real quiet they've had, in longer than they realized. South of Phong Na, the coast straightens out, and the road arrives at a city that was built specifically to be a capital, not grown into one. More than 2 centuries ago, construction began on walls and a moat that still hold water today. The seat from which the last royal court of Vietnam would rule for over 100 years. Red and gold. Walls within walls. An inner palace so restricted, even the emperor's own officials rarely saw past its gate. You expect a ruin. You get a throne room that never quite let go of the habit of being obeyed. Most of it still stands. Gates, courtyards, a hierarchy nobody answers to anymore, and a hush that arrives before you've noticed the noise leave. Beyond the walls, the perfume river earns its name each autumn. Blossoms drifting downstream until the water itself turns faintly sweet. Tien Mu Pagoda has watched over it since 1601. A promise made to an old woman, kept for 4 centuries and counting. Every other stop on this route asks something of your body. Climbing, riding, crawling, rowing. Hugh asks you to stand still instead and feel exactly how little power actually outlives the people who built it. From Hugh, the road climbs into Hai Van Pass, where the mountains run straight into the sea. On the other side, the coast opens into a warmer, gentler Vietnam. Hoi An, ancient town, has barely changed its skyline in centuries. A UNESCO World Heritage trading port, where Chinese merchant houses, Japanese bridges, and French shopfronts still sit shoulder to shoulder along the Thu Bon River. A little downriver, round bamboo basket boats spin through the coconut palms of Cam Ton village. Boats so round they barely look like boats at all, which, as the story goes, was exactly the point. Fishermen once called them baskets to dodge a colonial-era tax, and the name simply never changed. After sunset, the town changes completely. Silk lanterns light up above every doorway. And on the river, small paper lanterns are released one by one, drifting downstream in the dark like a slow-motion constellation. A short drive inland, the Golden Bridge curves through the mountains, held up, quite literally, by 2 giant weathered stone hands. It looks almost too strange to be real. And that's precisely why it works. A lantern-making workshop, followed by an evening river cruise. is one of the few Vietnam experiences worth planning around sunset specifically. Timing makes the difference here. A couple of well-reviewed options are linked in the description. A lantern disappearing around a bend in the river. Gone before you finished the thought you were having when you let it go. Watching it and choosing not to chase it does something quietly permanent. Nobody comes here planning to feel that. Hoi An hands it to you regardless. South and inland, the road climbs one more time. And Vietnam does something it hasn't done anywhere else on this route. It gets cool. Dalat sits at nearly 1,500 meters, a hill station the French built, as an escape from the coastal heat. And it still carries that atmosphere. Pine forests, flower gardens, mist that settles over Xuan Huang Lake. Most mornings, before the sun burns it off. The crazy house looks like it was grown rather than built. A guest house shaped like a tree, with rooms tucked inside sculpted branches, and staircases that wind past giant concrete spider webs. It's playful in a way little else on this trip is. And that contrast is deliberate. Datanla Waterfall drops through a canyon, reachable by a short, steep hike, or a roller coaster-style toboggan track. A strange, slightly absurd, entirely Dalat way to descend. Above the town, Lang Biang Plateau offers sunrise views. Back over the pine ridges. Quiet enough that the loudest sound most mornings is wind moving through the trees. After the heat and motion of the coast, Dalat feels like Vietnam taking a breath. Coffee farms terrace the hillsides nearby, and the night market fills with grilled corn, ban trang nuong, and the kind of unhurried evening you didn't know you needed until you had it. Would you rather wake to mist over Xuan Huang Lake, or watch lanterns drift down the Thu Bon River in Hoi An? Let us know which pull is stronger for you. From the mountain cool of Dalat, the road drops fast, and Vietnam's largest city meets you head-on. With heat and noise, it makes no effort to soften. Ho Chi Minh City, still called Saigon, by plenty of the people who live here, holds two versions of itself at once. A war that ended in 1975 is still close enough that most families here can tell you exactly how it touched theirs. A few streets over, the Bitexco Financial Tower rises 68 floors into a skyline that could belong to almost any global city. Ben Tan Market keeps the older rhythm alive. Stalls selling everything from dried fruit to tailored ao dai. Vendors calling out prices that are always negotiable. Outside the city, the Cu Chi tunnels stretch for roughly 120 kilometers underground. A wartime network of tunnels, kitchens, hospitals, and hidden trapdoors that once let an entire resistance operate beneath the feet of the forces, searching for it. Crawling even a short stretch of the original-sized tunnels is enough to understand, physically, what the history books only describe. At night, rooftop bars look out over a city that never fully powers down. Saigon isn't built for reflection. It's built for momentum. And by midnight, you're moving with it, whether you meant to or not. A short flight from Ho Chi Minh City, and limited seats mean it's worth booking early. Con Sao feels like Vietnam stepped outside of itself entirely. Con Sao is one of Vietnam's last true wild coastlines. Quiet beaches, clear water, and long stretches of coast that still turn for a few months every year into nesting grounds for sea turtles. It's a site only available at certain times of the year, and one that asks visitors to keep their distance and let it happen undisturbed. Con Sao carries a darker history beneath the coastline. For over a century, this was Vietnam's most feared prison colony. The buildings still standing, much as they were left. What happened inside stayed largely unknown until 1970, when smuggled photographs finally reached the outside world and changed how the war was seen from the outside in. Walking past those walls now changes the rest of the island for you. Con Son town itself moves at barely a pace at all. No crowds, no rush, no skyline. After the pace of everywhere else on this route. That stillness doesn't feel like relaxation. It feels like something finally being allowed to settle. Routed back through Ho Chi Minh City, the final stop waits at the southern edge of the country, an island closer to Cambodia than to Hanoi. Sao Beach delivers the postcard. White sand, water somewhere between turquoise and glass. But the engineering feat here is the Han Tum cable car, the longest oversea cable car in the world, stretching nearly 8 kilometers across open water to Han Tum Island. The ride alone takes close to 20 minutes, suspended above boats and reef, with nothing between you and the sea but air. Inland, Phu Quoc National Park protects rainforest that covers most of the island's interior. And along its edges, generations-old pepper farms. And fish sauce producers still work the same processes that made this island's exports famous long before tourism arrived. The cable car and the An Toi Archipelago snorkeling trip pair naturally into a single day. Booking both together usually saves both time and money. A well-reviewed combo is linked in the description. After weeks of mountains, caves, cities, and history, Phu Quoc doesn't ask you to see anything else. It asks you to stop scheduling. You still know how to do nothing on purpose. Most people just forget that. Somewhere between one flight and the next. Most trips end with a camera roll. This one tends to end with a changed sense of pace. And that part usually catches people off guard. Play the footage back and it looks like a checklist. Motorbikes threading through Hanoi's old quarter. karsts rising out of Ninh Binh paddies. A road cut by hand into Ma Pai Leng. A waterfall splitting across a border. Mist over Dalat. Turtles nesting on a quiet island. A cable car strung out over open sea. None of that is actually what stays with you, though. What stays is quieter. Learning to cross a street without flinching. Sitting with a history that never resolves neatly. Discovering the stillness and chaos that sits 20 minutes apart. None of it gets easier the longer you stay. The traffic stays loud. The history stays heavy. The mountain roads stay demanding. That's not a flaw in the trip. That is the trip. What you carry home isn't really a highlight reel. It's the memory of a place that rebuilt itself twice within living memory and welcomed you in anyway. No performance required. Every stop on this route, Ninh Binh boats, the Giang Loop, Hoi An's lantern cruise, the Han Tum cable car, has a driver, a stay, or a tour worth booking ahead. Some of it is in the description, chosen to take you deeper, not just farther. Take what's useful, but leave room for the market day that doesn't run on schedule, the pass that closes in bad weather, the moment that doesn't fit the itinerary. You'll notice it weeks later. The pace you picked up, somewhere between Hanoi and Phu Quoc, still running quietly underneath everything else you do. If this video moved you even a little, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Stay close to LeisureList. If you believe travel isn't about seeing a place, but discovering what it reveals in you. Until then, let the road stay with you, and let it change you.